Ladies and gentlemen, in a world that never stops talking, where everyone feels the need to prove themselves, to react, to be heard, what if I told you the greatest power lies in silence? What if I told you that by doing less, by speaking less, by trusting more, everything you seek will come to you naturally? Tonight, I want to talk about the strength of silence, not as a sign of weakness, not as avoidance, but as a path to wisdom, success, and peace. Because when you learn to stay silent, you learn to listen. When you learn to listen, you understand. And when you understand, you move differently. When you are silent, you begin to notice things that others miss. The world is constantly moving, constantly speaking, constantly demanding attention. But in that noise, so much is lost. People listen to respond, not to understand. They hear words, but they miss the emotions behind them. They listen for their turn to speak, but they don't absorb what's actually being said. But when you choose to stay silent, when you choose to observe instead of react, you unlock a whole new level of awareness. Think about the way most people interact. In a conversation, they're already thinking about their response before the other person has even finished speaking. They're not truly engaged. They're not truly listening. And because of that, they miss the small details, the hesitation in someone's voice, the unspoken fear in their eyes, the hidden meaning behind their words. But the person who stays silent, the person who listens, they catch it all. There is a saying that silence makes people uncomfortable. That's because silence forces truth to the surface. When you don't rush to fill the gaps, when you don't immediately react, people reveal more than they intend to. They start explaining themselves. They start showing their real intentions. And that's where the power of silence comes in. Because when you hear what others miss, you understand situations more clearly. You understand people more deeply. In business, in relationships, in life, this ability is priceless. A negotiator who talks too much loses the deal, but the one who listens, who observes, who stays patient, can see the weaknesses, the opportunities, the real dynamics at play. The one who stays silent has the advantage. They know when to speak and when to let the other person speak themselves into a corner. Think about the greatest leaders, the most successful individuals. They don't waste words. When they speak, people listen. Why? Because they don't talk just to talk. They've spent time observing. They've spent time analyzing. They've spent time listening to what's not being said. So when they finally open their mouths, their words carry weight. In personal relationships, silence allows you to truly understand the people around you. When you don't rush to fill the silence, you notice how people react, how they behave when they're not trying to impress or convince. You see their real selves. You see who is genuine and who is just saying what you want to hear. And in a world full of distractions and surface level interactions, that ability is rare. But silence isn't just about understanding others, it's about understanding yourself. When you step back from the noise, when you stop feeling the need to respond to everything, you give yourself the space to think, to process, to reflect. And in that space, you develop clarity. You start to hear your own voice, not just the voices of everyone around you. You begin to trust your instincts. You stop reacting out of impulse and start moving with intention. Most people live their lives in reaction mode. Something happens, they respond. Someone says something, they feel the need to answer. But the strongest people don't live like that. They don't react to every little thing. They move with patience, with awareness, with control. They understand that not every situation requires a response. Not every argument needs to be engaged. Not every moment needs words. When you stay silent, you give yourself the gift of time. Time to think before you speak. Time to observe before you act. Time to truly understand before you decide. And in that time, you gain an advantage over those who are too quick to react, too eager to speak, too desperate to be heard. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation, in a negotiation, in a moment of tension, pause. Resist the urge to speak first. Let silence do the work for you. Watch how people fill the gaps. Watch how the truth starts to reveal itself. Watch how much more you can understand just by staying quiet. Because when you learn to hear what others miss, you see the world differently. And when you see the world differently, you move differently. You move with knowledge. You move with wisdom. You move with power. Silence is a discipline, a skill that separates those who react on impulse from those who move with wisdom. When you learn to master your emotions, you gain control over your life. Most people allow their emotions to dictate their actions. They get angry and they lash out. They feel hurt and they retaliate. They get frustrated and they quit. But the person who can sit with their emotions, who can stay silent in the moment instead of reacting, is the person who truly holds the power. Think about how many mistakes are made in the heat of the moment. How many words are spoken that can never be taken back? How many decisions are made out of frustration, only to be regretted later? Emotions are powerful, but they are temporary. They rise and fall like waves, and if you allow yourself to be controlled by them, you'll be tossed around, never truly in control of your own direction. But if you learn to remain still in the storm, to sit in silence instead of reacting, you gain the ability to choose your response rather than being ruled by your emotions. When you stay silent in an emotional moment, you give yourself time to process. Instead of saying something you'll regret, you take a breath. Instead of making a rash decision, you reflect. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or ignoring them. It means understanding them. It means recognizing that emotions are signals, not commands. They tell you something about yourself, about what matters to you, but they don't have to dictate your next move. Patience in emotional moments is a rare quality. It's easy to react. It's easy to argue back. It's easy to let anger, fear, or frustration take over. But true strength comes from restraint. The strongest person in the room is not the one who yells the loudest. It's the one who remains calm, who listens, who doesn't let their emotions control them. That kind of person is dangerous, not because they are aggressive, but because they are in control. And when you are in control, no one can manipulate you. No one can bait you into an argument. No one can push you into making a mistake. This level of discipline applies in every aspect of life. In business, staying silent instead of reacting emotionally can mean the difference between closing a deal and losing one. In relationships, it can prevent unnecessary fights and help build understanding instead of resentment. In personal growth, it allows you to step back, reflect, and make better decisions rather than acting out of temporary feelings. When you master your emotions, you master your actions. And when you master your actions, you shape your destiny. So the next time you feel anger rising, the next time you feel the need to react instantly, pause. Stay silent. Let the emotions settle. Then when you do speak, your words will have meaning. When you do act, your actions will have purpose. And that is real power. Opportunities don't always come to those who chase them the loudest. In fact, some of the greatest opportunities in life come to those who move with quiet confidence, who trust in their preparation, and who allow things to align naturally. When you stay silent, when you focus on your growth instead of constantly seeking validation, the right people, the right moments, and the right opportunities will find you. There is a misconception that success comes from constantly talking about your goals, from always putting yourself out there, from making sure everyone knows what you're doing. But the truth is, the most successful people don't waste energy trying to convince the world of their worth. They don't announce every move. They don't beg for attention. They focus on becoming so valuable, so skilled that success has no choice but to find them. Think about it. When you're always talking about what you're going to do, when you're constantly seeking recognition, you leave little room for actual progress. You spend more time proving yourself than improving yourself. But when you stay quiet, when you work in silence, when you allow your results to speak for you, that's when the real opportunities start to appear. People respect mystery. They are drawn to those who don't reveal everything at once. The person who doesn't constantly seek attention is the one people become curious about. The one who works in silence is the one people start to notice. There is a power in being selective about what you share and when you share it. It creates an aura of confidence, of someone who doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. Silence also gives you patience. When you aren't constantly forcing things to happen, when you aren't rushing into situations just to feel like you're making progress, You give yourself time to recognize the right opportunities. Not every door is meant to be opened. Not every offer is worth taking. Some things take time, and when you're not distracted by the noise, you can see clearly which opportunities align with your vision and which ones don't. There is a difference between chasing and attracting. Those who chase often settle for whatever comes first. They make desperate decisions, they take shortcuts, but those who attract, they move with intention. They trust that what is meant for them will come, and they prepare themselves for the moment when it does. This doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means putting in the work, sharpening your skills, staying consistent, but doing it without the need for immediate recognition. It means trusting that if you stay focused, if you stay patient, the right people will see your value and the right doors will open. So instead of trying to force things, instead of chasing every opportunity just to feel like you're moving forward, step back, stay silent. Keep working, because when you do that, when you move with quiet confidence, the right opportunities won't just come, they'll come naturally. Actions have always spoken louder than words. In a world where everyone talks about what they're going to do, few actually follow through. That's why the most powerful moves are made in silence. The people who truly succeed don't announce every step. They just put in the work, stay focused, and let their results do the talking. It's easy to talk about success. It's easy to tell people your plans, your goals, your dreams, but talking doesn't make them real. Talking doesn't put in the hours, the discipline, the sacrifice. Too many people waste time trying to convince others of their potential instead of proving it through action. But those who remain silent, those who work behind the scenes, those who don't feel the need to explain themselves, they are the ones who truly get ahead. Look at the most successful athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders. They don't waste time trying to impress people with words. They impress people by showing up, by staying consistent, by letting their success speak for itself. They don't need to broadcast their struggles or seek validation for their efforts. They trust the process. They trust that their dedication will eventually be recognized, not because they told the world about it, but because their results made it undeniable. There is also a deeper confidence that comes with letting your actions speak. When you know you're putting in the work, when you know you're improving every day, you don't need to seek reassurance from others. You don't need to prove anything with words because your growth is proof enough. This kind of confidence is rare. It's the kind of confidence that makes people take notice without you having to say a word. On the other hand, when people talk too much about their plans, they sometimes trick themselves into thinking they've already accomplished something. They feel satisfied just by announcing their intentions, but then they fail to follow through. That's why some of the most ambitious dreams never become reality, because they were spoken about more than they were acted upon. Staying silent and taking action also protects you from unnecessary distractions. When you tell everyone your goals, you open the door for doubt, criticism, and unwanted opinions. Not everyone will support you. Not everyone will believe in you. Some will try to discourage you, not because they truly understand your path, but because they don't have the courage to walk their own. So move in silence. Let your results be the proof of your effort. Keep working when no one is watching. Keep grinding when no one is clapping. Because when the time is right, when your actions have built something undeniable, you won't have to say a thing. The world will see it for themselves. And that's real power, not in words, not in promises, but in results. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Just keep working. Because when you let your actions speak, you'll never need to explain yourself. Life doesn't always go as planned. No matter how much effort you put in, no matter how carefully you map out your future, there will be moments when things don't happen the way you expected. But the key to real success, the kind that lasts, is learning to trust the process. To believe that everything is unfolding the way it should, even when you can't see the full picture yet. Most people struggle with this because they want control. They want immediate results. They want guarantees. And when things don't happen on their timeline, they panic. They force situations that aren't meant to be. They chase opportunities that don't align with their true purpose. They exhaust themselves trying to manipulate outcomes instead of trusting that what is meant for them will come in due time. But the person who stays silent, the person who moves with patience, understands something deeper. Life rewards those who are prepared, those who are consistent, and those who trust the journey instead of rushing it. There is power in surrendering to the process, not in a passive way, but in a way that allows things to happen naturally. Think about how nature works. A tree doesn't force itself to grow overnight. The seasons don't rush to change before their time. Everything happens in its own rhythm at its own pace. The same is true for life. When you plant seeds, whether in your career, your relationships, or your personal growth, you have to give them time to grow. You can't dig them up every day, wondering why they haven't sprouted yet. You have to trust that beneath the surface, things are happening that you can't see. People who don't trust the process often quit too soon. They give up right before the breakthrough. They walk away when things get hard because they don't see immediate rewards. But those who stay patient, those who continue working even when results aren't obvious, those who believe that everything will come together in time, they are the ones who succeed in the end. Silence helps with this. When you stop constantly talking about your struggles, when you stop seeking validation for every small step, you free yourself from unnecessary pressure. You allow yourself to focus on the work instead of worrying about how things look from the outside. You stop comparing your progress to others because you understand that everyone has their own timeline. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when you feel like nothing is moving forward, when you question whether all your effort is worth it. That's when trust matters most. That's when you remind yourself that success isn't about forcing things. It's about preparing for the moment when everything aligns. And when that moment comes, when the doors start opening, when the pieces finally fit together, you'll realize that every delay, every setback, every silent season was necessary. So stay patient, stay focused, keep working, and trust that everything is coming together exactly as it should. Inner peace is something most people search for, but few ever truly find. The reason: they are too distracted, too caught up in the noise of the world, too focused on things outside of their control. But when you learn to embrace silence, when you stop reacting to everything around you and instead turn inward, you discover a sense of peace that cannot be shaken by outside forces. Most people don't realize how much external noise affects them. The opinions of others, the pressure to constantly prove themselves, the endless cycle of comparison, it all creates stress, anxiety, and uncertainty. They feel the need to respond to every comment, to defend themselves, to be seen and acknowledged. But the truth is, real peace doesn't come from what others think of you. It comes from knowing who you are, from being grounded in your own path, and from understanding that not everything requires a reaction. Silence allows you to tune out the distractions and listen to yourself. When you step away from the noise, when you stop feeling the need to explain yourself to everyone, you give yourself space to think clearly. You start to recognize what really matters and what doesn't. You stop wasting energy on things that don't serve you. Instead of being controlled by emotions, by other people's expectations, or by the fear of missing out, you move with intention. People who lack inner peace are often restless. They seek constant validation. They chase things that don't truly fulfill them. They fill their lives with busyness because they are uncomfortable with stillness. But the strongest people, the ones who are truly at peace, don't need to chase anything. They don't need to be the loudest in the room. They don't need to prove their worth through words. They let their presence, their actions, and their energy speak for them. One of the greatest benefits of silence is clarity. When you step back from the noise, you start to see things as they really are. You recognize who is truly there for you and who is only around when it's convenient. You understand which situations deserve your energy and which ones don't. You learn that peace isn't about controlling everything. It's about letting go of what you can't control and focusing on what you can. Many people waste years of their lives worrying about things that don't matter in the long run. They hold on to grudges. They argue over things that won't matter in a month. They stress over opinions that change with the wind. But when you have inner peace, you don't engage in meaningless battles. You don't let negativity take up space in your mind. You understand that protecting your peace is more valuable than winning an argument or proving a point. So stay silent when necessary. Protect your energy. Not everything requires a response, and not every situation deserves your attention. When you learn to choose silence over unnecessary conflict, when you learn to listen to yourself instead of the noise around you, you'll find a peace that nothing and no one can take away.